Alright, hello and welcome back to another episode of MC Airsoft. My name is Mark, and today we're going to be talking about carrying two rifles at once. As is getting to be the norm on this channel, if you hear wind in the background, please ignore it. It's a windy day. I film in my garage. There's not much I can do about it. It's always windy here. So, first we'll start off with the topic of why, and then we'll get into how I'm doing it. There are obviously other ways of going about it, depending on your needs, and we'll talk about some of those and the drawbacks and considerations with those, or benefits. So why? Well, the first one is going to be probably the most general. It's going to be for milsims. Now, specifically Milsim West, it was in one of the discussions, if you want to call it that was going on the Milsim West general interest page of how to carry two rifles. Okay. That's not really the context we're going with, but the idea there being that you have your ruck with everything you need in it for 48 hours or so, and you have a spare gun. One thing on the note of that, and I can elaborate more if people want me to down in the comments, but I think carrying a backup gun breaks the immersion for me just about as much as having high caps. So, I was an armorer in the Marine Corps. I issued out the guns. Well, technically I signed them in and out, I guess you could say. I wasn't technically issuing. If you're not familiar with how at least the Marine Corps does it, the issuing person is the commanding officer or a representative of the commanding officer who issues you out the gun. But the person behind the window is me, okay, and or was me, and I didn't issue two rifles to anyone. The closest I came was issuing out an M107 to EOD after their CO convinced them they had to take it because they didn't want to. That was about the closest, and that was probably just left in a Humvee while they were going and doing their thing. That aside, carrying it on your ruck, now the easiest way going about that is, we'll just hit on this briefly, is going to be just strapping it under a flap on your rucksack or paracording it to the side. You don't need to really access it, hopefully at all, but definitely not quickly. So that aside, the next reason why you might want to carry two rifles is in 2013, when I got back into Airsoft after about a year break. I didn't want to spend too much money on it because frankly I didn't think I could trust my friends to continue going. I didn't have a car at the time, and I was right. So I didn't want to spend too much money on it. I picked up a JG Bar 10 with some upgrades and a tri-shot spring pump shotgun. I knew that I needed something to close the distance. I also picked up a WE Big Bird, for those of you who remember that. But I knew I needed something to close the distance on where I couldn't use the bolt action, so I carried a shotgun as well. Now, is that a little bit weird? Yes, and that's why we were talking about it in this video. So I carried the shotgun on my back. I had the bolt action in my hands, and for smaller CQB games, I would just leave the bolt action all over the place as long as I could remember where it was. So yeah. So another reason, and there might be other reasons, and what we're talking about today is not really small guns, right? You might have a MP5, MP5K would be an example, on your thigh rig, on your belt maybe, and something on your back, or a primary rifle. Okay, that's not really what we're talking about today. We're talking about carrying two full-size guns and maybe a pistol or whatever. That's great, but two full-size, like rifle-size rifles. Okay, so we're not talking SMGs, maybe a pistol caliber carbine, because that kind of blurs the difference in airsoft, but not talking SMGs, not talking, you know, like your AAPs, your full auto pistols, or things like the Scorpion or the Uzi, where I would call them SMGs personally, but they're kind of different in airsoft. So we're not talking about those. We're talking, kind of the Ghost Recon Wildlands, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, kind of carrying two rifles and a pistol if you want to carry a pistol as well. For those of you who didn't play those games, you won't get the reference. Look up any pictures from those games, and you'll see two rifles on the back, pistol out front kind of thing. So, or, some gun out front. So, why am I going to be carrying two guns? Now, this isn't a skirmish thing, right? For small skirmishes, especially if it's like a paintball field or an indoor field, or something CQB orientated, not really for that. Okay, this is kind of verging more on the milsims. You can get into it a little more on like your 2-hour outdoor games on a big field kind of thing. Back in the day, I used to have a classic Army sport line that was stripped down. It already had a short barrel. I took off the stock, velcroed the battery to the side of it in one of the canvas kind of Fedora kind of battery pouches that they used to make. You don't really see those anymore, but they kind of got taken out with PEC boxes. Now everything's just wired to the back anyway. So I used to run a classic Army sport line that was trimmed down, and a 249 para that was stripped down of all the stuff I could take off of it. So that would be another example. Now that was more of a reliability issue than anything else. For anyone who hasn't played with a electric LMG before, they're not reliable. Or you should know that they're not reliable. Okay, so reliability, maybe. I'm going to be carrying, and what I'm going to be showing off today is a bolt action and Mark 18. Okay, specifically the bolt action, not that it really matters, but you might have pouch problems. We'll get to that in a second. With other ones, okay, this is my SSG-10. If you've been following along with the sniper rifle build series, you'll have seen this already, and you'll know what everything has been done to it. Okay, so that's going to be the combo. Now the plan is maybe I'm going to be rocking a pistol as well. We'll see. But this is kind of a prelude to the Lion Claws gear video equipment loadout video that will be dropping probably shortly. It should be the next couple videos that come out. At the time of recording this, Lion Claws is about a month away, but I film a lot of these videos in advance. So you'll know if it works or not when that video drops. Okay, so how are we going to do it? Well, begrudgingly, kind of, I'm going to be wearing a plate carrier for this one because part of it is I have a helmet as well that's on a carabiner on my back, or towards the back. But I just had too much crap I needed to carry for the chest rig, and then wearing a camelback separately, then figuring out the rifle situation, plus a communication setup, everything that went into it. I just needed more space, more molly, and less straps. Okay, so this is easy. I have my 2 shoulder straps, 2 cummerbunds, normal plate carrier. Everything is mounted to it. But if you look on the back here, okay, I got my camelback that you might have seen in other videos. I've had this camelback for over a decade now, but strapped to both the plate carrier along the molly on this side and to the bag, which could be undone rather quickly by doing these straps, and then there's a paracord that I can yank out. So if I have a problem with either primary, then going back to wherever we're staging gear, I can rip this pouch off and I can either carry my sniper rifle or carry my Mark 18, whichever works. I might be bringing the AK as a backup, we'll see, to the Mark 18 specifically. But how it works is plate carrier goes on as normal plate carrier. Now, one modification that you might notice that we might go into more in a later video is I have removed, sorry for Velcro sounds, I removed the triple mag plate carrier that was there. Didn't like it. I wanted an admin pouch. I wanted my normal chest rig, but I didn't really want the triple mag pouch underneath. And so I cut through the stitching, removed that, and now I just have this because it has Velcro on the back, which came on it. So there's a little panel to remove there. So the other cummerbund goes in place, kind of gets situated, and then close up the Velcro, and now ready to go, right? So if you notice on my back, okay, camelback there on one side, and the rifle pouch on the other. Now this gets into another thing that I mentioned during the build series, is this sniper rifle, the way I built it, is fairly self-contained, right? So I've got my extra mag there, got my primary mag in the gun, right? Okay. And then it is unloaded and cleared. In the back, got screwdriver, 2 Allen keys, and a pair of forceps, however you're supposed to say that. They look like tweezer kind of plier things, locking pliers. I have that so I can take out the muzzle plug, or whatever you want to call that. I'm going with muzzle plug, and so I can take apart the cylinder. So if I get to the game and I'm chronoing and it's shooting hot, I have all my FPS rings in there. I can adjust that. Right now it is shooting about 590, which is the limit for my local field, and it is also about 10 FPS, 15 FPS shy of the limit for Lion Claws. Now I'm bringing this up because this is a contained unit. So when it goes on my back, all I need to do is throw it on my back and go. I don't have to worry about adjusting anything. I did remove something to consider is either removing, going to a TDC, or in some way covering the hop-up adjuster so you aren't adjusting it when you throw it on your back. Okay, and again, self-contained unit, that way I gotta make sure, and I need to practice this a bit more, but basically you get the muzzle started and you can just throw it in there. This pouch I'm going to be testing out at games, seeing if it works. Okay, and you can feel the muzzle down at the bottom. Okay, and it keeps it out of the way. Now, I tried a bunch of different ways of going about this. Let me grab my Mark 18. Now, is this the most realistic way to carry a sniper rifle for milsims? And if I was a real sniper, would I do it? No, probably not. Ask a real sniper. But they're probably carrying them in like gun bags that have shoulder straps. There are also hunting backpacks that can mount a rifle. I recommend looking at those if you want a little more professional setup. I did this so I have quick and easy access to it. So got my Mark 18 on one side, got my bolt action on the other. Again, I might be running a pistol, we'll see. I'll probably bring pistols just in case I ditch the rifle. I can still have a secondary. So I went for this because of ease of access. Because the idea and what I'm going to be using the sniper rifle for primarily, and this will make sense if you've seen my other videos on using sniper or types of snipers in Airsoft, whatever that video was. So it's going to be more of an assault sniper role, okay? Based on the definitions I talked about in that, but basically being used to break stalemates and things like that. It's not really in the use of let's crawl through bushes for 12 days. It's not as useful to me. So this isn't the most secure, okay? It's nice because it does hang in place. Even if I start moving around, it doesn't sway that much. If I have to run or jump, okay, it's not really going anywhere. It does move, but it's not really going anywhere. And it's a sacrifice, okay? So from here, I can reach over, grab it. And again, I'm left-handed, so don't judge me, okay? And I can start shooting from there. So I can drop down into a good position. I can take advantage of more limited opportunity shots and things of that nature, right? And then when it's time to move on, I gotta just find the pouch, find the muzzle, and connect the two. Okay. And it goes back in, and I can start going with, once I make sure it's in, which hopefully I'll have a teammate to kind of help out with that one, but can kind of settle it in place. Okay, now this would be easier at a smaller game or somewhere where you have a low profile camelback and you can just sling it over the camelback. That'd probably be a better way of going about it. But with everything else I need to carry for this game, I rigged it up how I needed. Also, we will be in and out of technicals, so as you can see, it doesn't go much above my head, okay? And it ends about at seat level, so I might have to cock it to one side, okay, or pull it forward. It's another reason why I didn't want to lock it down super tight, okay? So it has some adjustability, but then once needed, or once I'm done with the rifle bolt action, I can go ahead and start going with my my main rifle again. Now, the reason being is because the reason I'm carrying both instead of just the bolt action or just the rifle is the bolt action gives me capabilities that this doesn't, and frankly most AEGs aren't going to. It gives you maybe a little more stealth. Maybe you can pop 1 or 2 people before they notice your fire team there, and then start opening up on your fire team, in which case this might be a better option. Okay. Again, pushing distance to where maybe they're standing out in the open or kind of behind cover, but they think they're far enough away. Okay, and that might be able to reach out and touch them. Whereas this one wouldn't be. Now, the reason for the AR, okay, is to clear buildings and such. Now, I did get approval from my CEO, XO, the person in charge of the faction that I will be playing with. I did get approval that I can use this as a secondary to the bolt action. You might want to check with your faction leader or event organizer on that one. But this allows me to do things that can't, and frankly that a pistol wouldn't be able to either. Can you clear buildings with a pistol? Sure, yeah, okay. But if I'm going around buildings and then I see a shot out a window, I can take that shot, okay? And that adds a little bit more capability. Down a longer hallway, this also just has a lot more ammo, okay? My pistol, because this is a milsim, not speed soft, I can't run HPA tapped with the magazine adapter on a high kappa for CQB, right? Let's be realistic about that. So this has a lot more ammo. The Taxop says 7 magazines total. Now I'm running mostly 140s. Okay, so that's a lot of ammo that this doesn't have, and a pistol wouldn't have either, without carrying a stupid amount of magazines, and frankly my wallet would hurt at that. Okay, so I have 3 more magazines on my back. Okay, back here underneath the pouch. I don't need to gain access to them, so what I'm doing is I have my belt on, which also retains my rifle and a few other things. I have my belt on, and on the back there is 3 magazines, which actually fits right underneath the camelback, so I can take some weight off my back as well, put it on my hips, and I can also shove those magazines to the side so I can take that weight back onto my shoulders and it doesn't get in the way. And it's kind of a load-bearing advantage there. But I can clear buildings with this, I can run and gun with this, I can move a lot easier with this, right? So with that on my back, I can move, I can run, I can jump, I can climb if that's off to one side, or I, again, attach it with that bungee there. But I can do a lot more things with this than I can with that. My guess is that I'm going to be primarily using this, okay? So we'll see on that. But yeah, so some other ideas with how to carry 2 at once, okay? There are, again, like I talked about earlier, hunting backpacks, okay, that are made to attach a rifle to one way or the other. And it's generally on one side. There's a little canteen pouch at the bottom, or at least that's what I've always called them. Or some kind of flap pouch, like a dump pouch that you put the buttstock into, and it has clips that attach it to the side, okay? There are ones that attach it straight onto the back. That's fine, but the problem with that is both of those options are not very low profile, and they're definitely a lot more expensive. Okay, so the backpacks, the full rucksacks are great if you're going to, again, to like a Milsim West kind of thing, where you're rucking in a bunch of gear and an extra rifle, great. The smaller profile ones that carry your rifles generally again on the back are fine. My problem with them is they don't have an ease of access, so the best way to take those out of the backpack is to take off the backpack, or at least strap it to your chest, right? You can wear your backpack on your chest while you're getting your rifle. Then you need to juggle having an AR, holding that rifle, or leaning it up against something, or passing it off to another person, put on the backpack again, or put the backpack down. Then you have to grab your rifle and you start going, because they weren't made for what we're doing, right? Everything in Airsoft is quicker than it necessarily would be in real life. Not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but at least in terms of snipers, right? But even in terms of CQB, all these people running around like they're suicidal, okay? And the problem with that is that in real life there's no respawns. People tend to move a lot slower unless they are actually suicidal. So there's that issue. But in terms of snipers, you might be on a stock where you're carrying this and your bolt action, and you're going to be there for 3 days. Okay. Well, I don't need to get to my rifle super quick, because frankly, anything I need to react to super quick, I can do with an AR. You can fairly easily, if you're a halfway competent shot, reach out to 500 yards with a M4, like a proper M4, okay, or an M16, a proper M16, so 14.7-ish barrel, or a 20-inch barrel. You can easily do that. Airsoft being a lot closer in, and we're not going out there for an entire week, I need to get to the rifle a lot quicker than I otherwise might, okay? So, yeah, the hunting backpacks is another option. Another option is, you see on this camelback, okay, there's a strap there and a strap there. Those go around the backpack, or around the camelback. And if you don't need access to it rather quickly, you can use those to just strap your strap your rifle in. Now on this rifle, I experimented with that, going around the scope, so one on either side of the scope rings, and it held it in place nice and tight. The problem was that it just wasn't quick enough to access, right? The reason I'm carrying a second rifle is to not be a hindrance to my team. So if I have to pull out the sniper rifle, I don't want to have to stop at someone and ask, or be the guy taking off their plate carrier while the rest of the team is ready to move, or something like that. I couldn't access it quick enough, and I don't have a teammate that is going to be attached to my hip enough that I could ask them to do it, right? So that is an option, not really for kind of the assault sniper role, right? Another option is you can lash it to you. That's again slow. What I mean by that is using paracord to like tie the end down to your belt line, maybe tie it to your back, and you can just tie it to you. Not a great option. Another option is you can sling the rifle to you. It's not a terrible option. The problem with that is now you have another piece of material. I already have a sling, I already have comms, I already have hydration, I already have a plate carrier, 2 straps for that. I don't want extra straps on me, so having another sling, to me, not a great option. If it works for you, great, do it. I don't want to be tangled. I want to keep that tangle down to a minimum if I can. So yeah, so those are most of the reasons why, or most of the ways you might carry a rifle on you. I'm sure there are second rifle on you. I'm sure there's others. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have a better option, let me know, because there's a fair chance that I'm going to try and do this again in another milsim. And if there's a better way of going about it, let me know down in the comments. And that isn't me advertising for comments. That is legitimately, I couldn't find a better way of going about this with quick access, load bearing, and having it with me at all times in a non-obtrusive manner. So if anyone has a better option, please let me know and I can give that a try. So until next time, stay safe and stay hydrated.